Hello everyone, welcome to game 2 of India versus Iceland. This is between Arjun, the India number 1, and Hans Stephenson from Iceland. He is rated 2471, a very strong grandmaster. Here Arjun is white and Arjun starts with the queen's pawn d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, and Arjun goes for the infamous London system d5, e3, bishop d6. This is a very recent idea, just aiming to neutralize this London bishop immediately and then planning to go b6 and bishop a6 to neutralize this other bishop and head for a draw. But Arjun says no, I won't really exchange the bishops. The other idea that white can do here is just go knight bd2, allowing bishop into f4, e into f4, and play this position with this very nice center grip and the space advantage. But Arjun says no, I will keep the bishop. He goes knight e5, castles, bishop d3, already looking at the black king, c5, c3, b6, and knight bd2. So white has developed everything. It is already planning for some kind of kingside expansion with h4, g4, g5, and somewhere might even sack the bishop on h7. Black goes bishop a6, immediately trying to exchange off the white bishop, which is like the main piece that attacks the black king. Arjun takes here. The problem with bishop c2 is that this bishop is stopping white from castling, and without castling it's always becomes very dangerous to attack. So Arjun says no, I'll just exchange the bishop and then I'll go h4. I don't have the bishop, but I'll still have all these pawns to just storm up the king side. Queen c7, h5, getting some more space on the king side, threatening some kind of h6 ideas, creating weakness on the king side here. Black goes knight e4, which is just a bad move here, because black can just play h6, stopping any kind of h6 of white. But I can understand why he didn't play this, because then white might sometimes go g4, g5, and this h6 pawn becomes a hook to open up the king side. And also sometimes white might even go for some kind of sack on h6. Black goes knight e4, white goes knight e4, d4. So this pawn becomes a little bit weak here. And also one of the main defenders of the king is now gone. White immediately brings out the queen, looking at the king here, threatening h6, some kind of bishop h6 even in the future. cd4, ed4, rook e8 here, threatening f6, protecting this e6 pawn. Here white goes rook a d1, which is not really a good move. The better move I think would have been h6, g6, and something like queen e2 or rook d1 here. The main idea is to just provoke this g6 and create the weakness around the king. White goes rook d1. Here black again blunders here with knight c5. Black could have played f6 here, just hitting this knight as this e6 pawn is protected. But I think he must have been afraid of this knight g6 move, which is a very dangerous looking move, but it's not really doing much here. Like if he goes hg6, which would have been a very big mistake, white can just go bishop d6, g into h5, white can go queen f4, protecting this d6 bishop, and it's a fork and white will just pick up the exchange. But instead of gh5, if black goes something like queen d6, then white can go h into g6. White is a piece up, but now white is a piece down, but now the biggest threat of the game, rook h8, queen h3, and queen h7, which is just unstoppable in this position. So it's just mating 5 or 6 from here forced, something like knight c7. White will go just rook h8, king h8, queen h4, king g8, and queen h7 mate. So he doesn't play f6, he plays knight c5. Here again, white should have gone for h6, g6, and then something like queen h4, keeping an eye on this knight, and then maybe something like g3 or queen f6, threatening mate. But Arjun goes queen g3, which is a bad move actually, because I think he missed the black's idea, which would have been the best move in this position and equalize immediately. That is knight b7, just protecting this bishop and threatening f6 without any kind of knight g6 threat, because he can just ignore this with rook f7. But black misses it and goes f6 himself, which is just a blunder here. I think he miscalculated something here, because everything from here now is forced. D into c5. Here black has two options: bishop into e5 or f into e5. Bishop into e5 is just nothing, because bishop into e5, f into e5, c into b6, a into b6, and this triple pawn in the center is doing nothing. White has this 3 versus 1 majority in the queen side, and white is just winning. So black goes f into e5. Arjun here plays c into b6. Here if black goes something like queen b6, white will just move his bishop to e3. Black can't take on b2 because this d6 bishop is hanging. So he has to go something like queen c6. And again this triple pawn in the center is doing nothing. White is just clearly winning. So black goes ef4, d into c7, f into g3, and white goes rook into d6. So after all this simplification, white here ends up with the king on e2 and a pawn on f2, which might look scary, but as the e file is totally blocked by black's own pawn, this f2 pawn is not going anywhere. White can just come and pick up this pawn whenever he wants. Also, white has a very strong pawn on c7, which is almost on the verge of queening actually. So black goes rook e7, Arjun goes rook c6, rook c8, white takes king into f2. Here black is forced to take on c7, rook c7, rook c7, and king e3. So finally everything clears out. White is just materially counting, white is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pawns are equal, but these two pawns are just almost half dead. This pawn is just immediately going to be taken by white, and there's just 3 versus 1 majority in the queen side, which will be the deciding factor of the game. Black goes rook d7, threatening some kind of rook d2 idea if white takes here. Arjun says, I don't want to take, I'll just push my pawns. He forces him to take rook d3, king into e4, rook d2. It's you can take the g2 pawn, but I'm not giving this pawn majority. Arjun goes b4, rook g2, and rook d1. So white is threatening this rook d7 and rook a7, after which this pawn will be unstoppable. The interesting part is that this h5 pawn is just stopping these two pawns, so that black can't really advance these pawns, and white can just go simply go rook d7 and take the a7 pawn. Black goes rook g3, rook d3, protecting the c3 pawn. Here black just miscalculates, or I think he just gives up. He takes on c3, the rook. White takes with the king. If this pawns were like something on e5 and g5, h5, then this position would not have been this simple. But as these pawns are so far back, black really can't put this king in a position to get locked by these pawns. So as you can see, black goes king f7. He needs to first run here and stop these pawns from queening. White goes king e4, black goes g5, hg6, hg6, and white goes b5, threatening a5 and b6 and just queening the pawns. King e7 is forced. White just goes simply king e5, stopping any kind of king d6 idea first. Black goes g5, white goes c3, c4. Because if black goes any kind of g4, white will just go king f4, king d6, a5. Black can't really take these pawns because king c5. White will just take here, king c4, and this pawn's queen. So here's c5. Black just plays a5, which is just giving up. ba6, he allows white to win the game by end person. If black had gone something for some like king c7, white will just go a5. As you can see, these pawns can't move. Black can just wait. King b7, a6, king c7, king e4. Now black is in zugzwang. g4 still runs into king f4. And if king d7, white just goes b6 and queens the pawn. So if black goes king b8, white goes b6, ab6, cb6. Still can't move this pawn. King a8, king e5, king b8, king into e6, g4, king d7. Everything is forced here. g3, a7, king b7, a8 queen, king a8, king c7, g2, b7, king a7, b8 queen, king a6, and queen b6 mate. So Arjun had calculated everything when he offered this rook exchange on move 30. So around 20 moves he had calculated, and this is how he won the second game and gave India the 2-0 lead. Thank you for watching till now. If you guys like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll be posting the next two games of round 2 very quickly. Thank you.